from Winterberg, Germany. Welcome to ESPN's coverage of the World Four-Man Bobsled Championships. Hello once again, everyone. Tim Singer here in Winterberg, Germany, where you can see it's not very winter. Right now, my partner John Morgan talks about how the weather plays a factor in this sport.
Thanks, Tim. Hi, everybody. I'm John Morgan, and welcome to a wet, rainy, sleety Winterberg, Germany. Mother Nature here has played havoc with this World Bobsled Championships for 2 straight weeks. But here today, on the last day of this four-man competition, it is absolutely the worst. To give you an idea what the competitors think of the weather, we asked a few of them.
I've never seen anyone place like this 14 days straight. Rain, snow, sleet, and anything you can imagine every day straight.
Oh, it's a awful weather. I hate the weather.
It's perfect. It's nice.
4 seasons in 1 day. I didn't think it was possible, but obviously in Winterberg it is.
Well, Tim, as you can see, the weather's playing a lot of havoc here with this World Bobsled Championship. Crowd on hand, 15,000 people here in this rain and slush. Needless to say, the Germans really like their bobsledding. Let's take a look at the highlights of the first 3 heats.
Well, when you think of Monte Carlo, you don't think of winter sports, but Monaco is indeed here at the championships without Prince Albert and H. Just look how hard it really is to get into one of those sleds. They're well back in the pack. Leading after the first heat is the man you would expect to be in front, one of the greatest bobsledders in the history of the sport, Wolfgang Hoppe of Germany. 55:47 his time for the first heat. He was well out in front. This is action from heat number 2. Another veteran of the sport, Great Britain's Mark Tout. He had the 3rd best time of the second heat, and he sat in 4th place. Now we move ahead to heat number 3, and a check at the Americans. Jim Herbrick of Winchester, Massachusetts, having a tough year trying to atone here at the World Championships, went off early in the 3rd heat, but could do no better than 12th place entering the 4th and final run. As for the other American sled, Tuffy Latour replaces Brian Scheimer in the driver's seat. That's a story we'll tell you more about as the race unfolds. But in his first ever World Championship, Tuffy is toying with the top 10. In contention in 2nd place is Germany sled number 1. Who else but Harold Jodai, the defending Olympic gold medalist. Also not to be counted out in 3rd place entering the final run, Austria sled number 2. Hubert Schoesser was the silver medalist at the 1993 World Championships. But everyone is trying to catch Wolfgang. Hoppe is in search of his 7th World Championship, that to go along with a whole closet full of Olympic medals. In a sport long dominated by the Germans, they sit 1-2 in the standings heading into the final heat. Hubert Schoesser of Austria is in 3rd place as we get set for the first sled of the 4th heat. It's USA sled number 2, the driver, Jim Herbrick, the Harvard grad.
Yeah, he's doing a little bit better in the 4-man than he did in the 2-man, Tim. He had disastrous results in the 2-man. He's had a disastrous season. He's crashed about 4 times. Hey, athletes in all professional sports, amateur sports go into slumps. I just think Jim Herbert is in a slump.
Well, we saw him at the last World Cup event in St. Moritz, Switzerland. That red Bodine sled was the victim as Herbrick, the driver, failed to load in at the start, and you had 3 panicked crew members bailing out of the sled on the way down.
Yeah, I talked to all 3 of his crew, Robert Olson, James Purvis, and Will Stope, and it was a pretty harrowing situation. But, you know, they had a pretty good start time in this heat, 5:08. Herbert driving a good sled. The Bodine sleds, Timmy, I think they're in their final stages of getting well tuned for this track. I think Scheimer would have had a great chance to win a medal if he would have been in this competition. But here's Herbrick. He's our hope right now for the United States.
19th place in this year's World Cup standings with just 1 top 10 finish. He may do it, though, here at the World Championships as he puts down a pretty good time early here in the final heat.
Yeah, he's going to maintain his placing, Tim, which was 12th coming into this heat. And, you know, watch the heads here snapping back and forth. Look at the runner tips. Good transition on and off these tight corners in the bottom part of the track. 75-mile-an-hour speeds, and they look pretty clean.
3:46.52 for USA sled number Stokes. Once a novelty, the 3-time Olympian has certainly matured in this sport.
You know, there's one saying that the key to success is ignorance and confidence. And I think I came into this sport ignorant of what's involved and confident that I do well. That's the only reason why I'm still here. Had I known now what I knew then, I probably wouldn't have started.
Good athletes, Timmy. 5:02 start in the 2nd heat. He hasn't got consistent start times from one heat to the next. But Let me tell you, they are no longer a novelty act. He knows the sport, knows how to take care of the equipment. I've been impressed with the way he's been taking care of the equipment this year. That's something he had a problem with.
Well, keep in mind that this is a sled that beat the Americans last year at the Olympics. As you mentioned, they are good athletes. Dudley says he needs to get bigger and stronger, but regardless, John, the crowd loves them.
Hey, they were the big novelty act at the '88 Olympics. Still had that same type of novelty approach in '92, Timmy. But with this movie release last year, they've done more for bobsledding, exposing the sport, than what the sport gets at every Olympics.
And talking with Dudley, he's very serious. He wants to compete. His goal is to be on the medal podium by 1998. And he's very serious.
He's dead serious. You know, he's a helicopter pilot, Timmy. That eye-hand coordination that feathers helicopters around, he's very good at that. I think it's just a matter of time before he starts to break through. Hey, he's been driving for 8 years. It's about time he started to be competitive.
Well, a top 15 performance at the World Championships, or at the Olympics rather, a year ago. They will not quite finish that high here, but a big applause at the bottom from the German crowd.
No applause here for Dudley's driving. Watch this driver's there. The sled climbs too high, comes off, bangs that right-hand wall. That doesn't look like much to me, but that does cost you some time.
Perhaps the major story at these World Championships, USA pilot Brian Scheimer, during training, dropped a 500-pound sled on his toe. Probably more than the foot. Scheimer's pride has been bruised.
I think the pain plus the disappointment, because I knew as soon as it happened and I went down with that type of pain, that everything that I'd worked for this year, you know, coming into the Worlds, was all for nothing, because I knew that at that point that I wasn't going to be able to continue.
My crew fully agreed to change crews with Scheimer's. Scheimer's crews has the better starts, and that's what they felt I should have at the World Championships here.
Taking Scheimer's place, rookie driver Tuffy Latour, but John, it's a big loss for the Americans.
Big loss for the Americans. This is Scheimer's crew, though, starting. They had a 12th best time in the first heat, 4th best time in the second, third heats. 5:01 there, Timmy. That's a pretty good time. If they had more time together with Tuffy, you know, they'd probably get up there 6th or 7th place. Problem is here, though, Scheimer was in the top 3, top 4 all week long in practice. The Bodine crew that were tuning the sleds felt that they were perfectly positioned to get a medal for the United States in this race.
Well, he has the first place splits here midway down the run. His crew, in fact, is Randy Jones, Jeff Woodard, and Garrett Hines. Jones, at least, part of that bronze medal winning team 2 years ago at the World Championships.
Yeah, he slipped a couple places in that third heat. Toppy's trying to move up now. 7th best time in the first heat, 6th best time in the second heat, Timmy. But he was 11th best time in the third heat. That really hurt him. But in his first World Championship competition, I really applaud his performance.
Well, he is across the finish line, 56.66. That is better than the Jamaicans and the other American, Jim Herbrick. So Tuffy obviously looks pretty happy with it.
Timmy's got good bloodlines in the sport. His grandfather competed in the 40 Olympics in St. Moritz, and his grandfather and my father won the U.S. National Championships in '59. This kid's got a bright future.
For the Americans, 9th and 12th place with Tuffy Latour, the replacement driver for the injured Brian Scheimer, ending up in the top 10.
Tuffy, first World Championships, not a bad result.
It wasn't too bad. We dropped back a couple places. Second heat was great. First heat, a lot of snow. Slowed us down a lot. I didn't think the draw would be that much of a factor, but it really was with all the snow.
All in all, though, you got to be pleased with the result coming out of here. You're a young guy, a lot to look forward to.
Yeah, a lot to look forward to, and wasn't so bad. Not as good as I expected. I wanted to be up in the top 6, but I'll take a 9th.
It's been a long season for all the bobsled drivers, especially the Americans, who saved for one bronze medal, failed to make the podium all season long. But it's time now to regroup, to think about it over the summer, as the Americans, thanks to emerging athletes and, of course, the Bodine Project, look to the future of bobsledding. For John Morgan, I'm Tim Singer. Thanks for joining us, and so long from the World Championships in Winterberg.
But now the track is world class, and so are the drivers, and we're down to our final 3 competitors in this, the final heat of competition of the Bodine Bobsled Challenge. Veteran Mark Todd of England has been around the world for several years of bobsledding and reveres this track.
This is about the toughest there is. I mean, Altenberg in Germany is tough, but it's a different kind of toughness, you know. In here, this track can just pop up and just